Hello friends, welcome to these classes again. I hope you enjoyed the last lesson. In the last lesson, we learnt about the Coulomb's law, and for simplicity, we just kept two charges in our calculations. In this session, we will learn about the forces between multiple charges as calculated by the Coulomb's law. Consider a system of n stationary charges q1, q2, q3, qn all in a vacuum. Now we want to know what is the force on q1, charge q1 due to charge q2, due to charge q3, due to charge q4, etc. up to charge qn. We can use the parallelogram law of forces to add the force vectors due to the effect of various charges on one charge. The force on any charge due to a number of other charges is the vector sum of all the forces on that charge due to the other charges taken one at a time. Note, that's very important, taken one at a time. The individual forces are not affected by the presence of other charges. This is called the principle of superposition. We will apply this to a system of three charges q1, q2 and q3 with their position vectors r1, vector r2 and vector r3. It means if we choose some point O as the origin, the vector from O to charge q1 is vector r1, to charge q2 is vector r2, and the vector which defines the position of charge 3 is vector r3 as shown on the figure here. The force on one charge, let us say on q1, due to charges q2 and q3 can be obtained by performing a vector addition of the forces due to q2 and q3. Now the force on charge q1 due to q2, how do we denote it? F12, force on charge 1 due to 2. It remains unaffected by the presence of q3, q4, etc. Now the force F12, that is the force on charge 1 due to charge 2, is given by what? The Coulomb's law. And that's simply F12 is equal to 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught, the very important constant you must always remember, into the product of the magnitude of the charges q1, q2 divided by r12 square, that means the distance from 1 to 2 square. This whole part is the magnitude. Now since force is a vector, I must give a direction. So after this I have got r hat 1, 2. That means a unit vector from 1 to 2. Similarly, I can calculate the force on q1 due to q3. And I know you would have guessed it by now. Again, it's given by Coulomb's law. F13, force on charge 1 due to charge 3 is the constant 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught. The magnitude terms q1, q2, product of charges, divided by r13 square, the distance from charge 1 to 3 square. This whole thing is the magnitude of the force. And what gives it the direction? Unit vector r hat 1, 3. Now the total force, if I call it F1 on Q1 due to the two charges Q2 and Q3 is given by a sum. F1 is equal to, that is F1 is the force on charge 1 is equal to F12, force on charge 1 due to 2 plus force on charge 1 due to 3 is equal to the sum of the two expressions which we saw earlier. Similarly, if I have got n number of charges, 3, 4, 5, 6, etc., I can add all these terms and get the force F1 on charge Q1. The vector sum of all these forces, how do I obtain it? By the parallelogram law of addition of vectors. I won't explain much of vector algebra to you here. You would have learnt in mathematics. So, it is by the parallelogram law of vectors that I do vector addition of all these vectors. Now, the vector sum is given by what? Earlier we saw only 3 charges. Now it's about it's n charges. And what's common in all these expressions? The constant 1 by 4 pi epsilon naught. So I take it out of the bracket. Now I have got q1 q2 by r1 2 square and the unit vector. Now in all these terms within the bracket, what is common? Q1 is common. So I take q1 also outside the bracket. So I get q1 by 4 pi epsilon naught, and the rest of the thing is the summation. And what's the summation? q2 by r12 square unit vector r12 plus q3 by r13 square into unit vector r13, etc. up to the nth charge qn. The Coulomb's law and superposition principle is used throughout electrostatics to calculate the forces. Now we have a question. Consider 3 charges Q1, Q2, Q3. Each of the charges is equal to Q and they are placed at the vertices of an equilateral triangle ABC, and each side of the triangle is L of the length L. What is the force on the charge Q? Now this charge Q is of the same sign as the charges which are placed at A, B and C. Now this charge Q is placed at the centroid of the triangle as shown in the figure. I must know what is the force on charge Q. Now let us draw a perpendicular AD to the side BC. Now AD is equal to AC cos theta. Why? Because each of these angles is 60 degrees. The perpendicular bisector of the equilateral triangle also bisects the angle. So the bisected angle A is 30 degrees. So if angle DAC is 30 degrees, then AD is equal to AC cos 30. Now cos 30 is root 3 by 2 and AC is L. So AD is equal to root 3 by 2 into L. Now AO. What is AO? AO is the intersection of the perpendicular bisectors. O is the intersection of the perpendicular bisectors. Like there's a perpendicular we have drawn from A to D. Similarly, I can draw perpendicular from B to the opposite side and C to the opposite side. The point of intersection is O. Now, the distance AO is 2/3 of the whole distance AD. Now, this is from your geometry. Now, I will put the value of AD here. So, it is 2/3 of root 3 by 2 into L. So, what's going to happen? The 2 is going to get cancelled and I only have 1 by root 3 into L. Now, it is an equilateral triangle. It is the intersection of O is the point of intersection of the perpendicular bisectors of the opposite sides. So by symmetry, AO is equal to BO is equal to CO. Now let us calculate the force F1 on the charge Q. Now what do you say? What do you mean by force F1? It is the force on Q due to the charge Q1 placed at A. Now that is equal to what? That is equal to, you will find here 3 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q into Q divided by L square. Now you will say, sir, how did you get this? Now by Coulomb's law, what would it be? It would be 1 upon 4 pi epsilon naught into the product of the charges capital Q and small q divided by square of the distance. What is the distance AO? AO is L by root 3. So if I square L by root 3, it becomes L square by 3. So the 3 in the denominator of the denominator goes to the top. So this is the magnitude of the force on Q due to the charge at A. Now, what is the direction of the force? The direction of the force is along AO, because both signs of both the charges, polarity of the charge at Q, O and charge at A is same. So it is a repulsive force. The force is acting along AO. Similarly, force F2, that means it is due to the charge Q2 placed at B. That is given by what? Again same, because the magnitude of the charge is same, the distances are same. It is 3 by 4 pi epsilon naught Q by L square. But what is the direction? The direction is along BO, repulsive. Similarly, the force F3 on the charge Q at O is due to what? Is due to the charge Q3 placed at C. Again, the magnitude is same and the direction is along CO. Now, we have got F2 acting along BO and F3 acting along CO. We can do the vector addition by parallelogram law and find out what is the sum of F2 and F3. Now F2 can have a component along OA and the second component perpendicular to it to the right side. F3 will have a component along OA and a second component perpendicular to it along the left side. Now the components to the right and left will get cancelled. They cancel each other and only the components along OA get added. Now what is the component along OA? Let us see. The resultant of these two forces, as we said earlier, is by the parallelogram law. Now this is again 3 by 4 pi epsilon naught QQ by L square along OA. Now how is this? Because if you see in this triangle AOC, the angle OAC is 30 degrees. The angle OCA is 30 degrees. So the small angle F3OA, that is 60 degrees. Okay. So what would be the component of charge along OA? It would be force F2 into cos of 60 degrees. And cos of 60 degrees is half. Similarly, the other charge is half of F3. So half of F3 plus half of F2 again gives us the same charge as either F2 or F3. So the magnitude is 3 by 4 pi epsilon naught QQ by L square. And the direction is along OA. Now, what is the total force on Q? We have now a force on Q along OA and a force on Q in the opposite direction along AO, and the magnitudes are same. So the total force is 3 by 4 pi epsilon naught q by L square multiplied by, see, one unit vector in the direction AO and one unit vector in the direction OA. So they will cancel out each other. That is equal to 0. So the net force acting on the charge Q placed at the centroid is 0. Now we have one more problem. Now consider the three charges Q, Q and minus Q. Charge Q is placed at A, charge Q is placed at B. Let us call them Q1 and Q2. At C, I have a charge Q3, which is minus Q, equal in magnitude to the charges at A, but of opposite side. Again, A, B, C are the vertices of an equilateral triangle. Now the question is, what is the force on each of the charges? Q1, Q2, Q3. That means on Q1, I have a force due to Q2 and Q3. On Q2, I have a force due to Q1 and Q3. And on Q3, I have a force due to Q1 and Q2. What is the force on each charge? The force acting on charge Q placed at A due to charge Q placed at B. Now both have the same sign. So the force is along BA. It's a repulsive force. The force acting on charge Q placed at A due to the negative Q charge at C is along AC because it is an attractive force. Now, by the parallelogram law of forces, the total force F1 on charge Q at A is given by F1, see in the diagram, is equal to FR1, where R1 is a unit vector. And if you see that blue line from Q1 to F1, it is parallel to BC. So, the unit vector of the force acting on Q1 is along BC. R1 hat is along BC. The force of attraction or repulsion on each pair of charges has the same magnitude because the charges are same. So the force of attraction on Q1 due to C, charge at C, is equal in magnitude due to the force of repulsion of charge at B. The magnitude of this force is F, the force of attraction or repulsion, is equal to Q square. Why? The charge at A and B is Q. So Q into Q, Q square, divided by 4 pi epsilon naught into L square, the distance. Similarly, the total force on charge Q at B, if we call it F2, it is F2 R2 hat. And this R2 hat, if you see the blue line at B, F2, it is parallel to AC. So R2 is a unit vector along AC. And why, you will ask me, why is it parallel to AC? See, one force is acting along AB, that is F21. The other force is acting along BC, that is F23. Now, the resultant of these two forces, these two forces are equal in magnitude. The resultant of these two forces will act along the direction F2. The force acting on charge minus Q placed at C due to the charge at A is F31, charge on 3, a force on 3 due to the charge Q1. And it is what? It is an attractive force along AC because these two charges are unlike. Similarly, the force acting on the negative charge at C due to the charge at B. What do we call it? F32. Force on charge 3 due to charge 2. It is also acting along BC because it is an attractive force. Now forces 3, 1 and 3, 2. They are of equal magnitude. So the resultant would act along the bisector of the angle ACB. Therefore, the force F3 is equal to F into root 3 by 2 n hat plus F root 3 by 2 n hat. Now, why root 3 by 2? Because cos of 30 is root 3 by 2 and the bisector of the angle C is 30 degrees. And what is the sum? F into root 3 n hat. F into root 3 is the magnitude and n hat is the unit vector in the direction from C towards the perpendicular to AB. N is a unit vector along the bisector of the angle ACB. The sum of the forces on the three charges F1, F2, F3 is 0. Now, the detailed calculation of how to do the vector sum of these three charges, three forces, F1, F2, F3, I leave it to you as an exercise. We have the force F1 marked at A, F2 marked at B, and F3 marked at C. So you can do this in your own time. I hope you enjoyed this session. I look forward to meet you the next time. In case you have any doubts, you can put it up in the comments when you see the video on YouTube and I'll answer your questions. Thank you very much. All the best.